everybody, how's it going today? Chelsea Face here, and I'm excited to bring you a new book talk, book review, whatever this is. So today's review is going to be for Rory Power's Wilder Girls. Now, if you haven't heard about this book yet, I don't know where you've been. I've heard so much about it, and I finally was just in the mood to buy a new book, and so I went to Books A Million and bought this guy full price. It was $18.99 American. I have to say, I was very surprised by this. I'm very, very, very happy with this book. I'll try not to spoil it in this review, just so in case you want to read it, you can. But later on in the video, I might get into that. It just depends, but I'll let you know before I spoil it. So this is a isolated dystopian, is what I like to call it. It is YA fantasy, and it was written by Rory Power. It says on the cover, "They told us to wait and stay alive." I am in love with this cover. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but the art on it is absolutely fantastic. I followed the author on Instagram, and then they posted about it a while back saying who the artist was for the front of this, and who also was the cover artist, because there's two separate people who designed the cover and then the person who did this artwork. Both are great and gorgeous, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And I followed this artist on Instagram because I just love the rest of their work. It's very similar and it's just so good. This book did come out in 2019. Like, seriously guys, I picked this book up and started reading it almost immediately because I was just so curious and I was buying a new book to read. And I opened it up, and from the time I started reading this, I did not want to put it down. I could not look at anything else. I did not want to stop. Anytime I had to do other things, because I did take a few days to read this, I had to go to work and do normal people things. I just wanted to keep reading, and that hasn't happened to me this year. Like, I've had books that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to know how it ends and I like it and I'll read a lot of the time. This one in particular, I could not stop. Like, I did not want to put it down. I wanted to finish it all in one go. And when it was over, it was really sad because I wanted more. I heard so many other booktubers and bloggers talking about this book, and they were all polarizing views. Some people either loved it or they hated it. I didn't really see a lot of middle ground on it, so I was very curious where I would fall on that scale. And I was definitely on the positive side, if you can't tell already. It is a book about a school of girls, young girls. I think they were ages like 9 to 16-ish. I think that's the age range. And they're on like an island at this private school for girls, and all of a sudden this tox hits. They call it the tox, and the Navy is involved, and they're trying to make sure that it's not, spreading to other parts of the world. So they're keeping these girls on this island, sending them supplies to eat, and, telling them to wait and survive and live it out until they find them a cure. And they're evolving is what I call it. They didn't really say what they were just changing. Some girls were getting like extra body parts, some girls were glowing, some girls were growing flowers in their face. It's just all different depending on the woman. I found that so fascinating because it just felt real, because it wasn't beautiful and gorgeous and fun. It was very dirty and just rugged and felt painful, and it was just a lot for these girls to go through at their age, especially. And since all of the things were happening, they were so isolated. They only had 2 adults on the island left with them. So they had to figure out how to do a lot of things for themselves and defend themselves. They learned how to shoot. The animals were changing, so they couldn't necessarily live off of the land, if you know what I'm saying. There are 3 girls who are the main focus of this. We have Hetty, who is the girl on the front of the book. We have Reese, who is her friend that has a hand thing. And then we have Byatt, who is a friend of theirs that they have to rescue at some point within the novel. It goes between the point of view of Hetty and Byatt throughout the novel, mostly Hetty, and I love that. I love this character so much. She was so relatable. All of these characters were realistic in the way that they acted and for their age, and also they spoke accurately, I think, for their age range. So it was super, super believable, and these characters had realistic flaws that I thought were endearing, and that weren't just, oh, we're cute, quirky, perfect girls who are just going through this terrible thing. No, they all had their flaws. They were realistic flaws and believable, and I just really, really liked the development of these characters and how they grew and how they changed, and maybe how we saw maybe the darker side of these characters and who they were. The character Reese, she had a personal connection to someone else in this book, and I just felt for that character. Like the struggles that she went through this, I understood them and I felt them with her. And then whenever her and Hetty were going after Byatt, it was just so heart-wrenching to see them struggle and like all the things they were going through. And I just felt like I was there with them and I wanted to help, and like, I was just so into it and just so anxious and excited at the same time. And it just felt so real, and it was so engrossing. I just felt like I was right there. And like the world building, I didn't even mention that yet. Like it was so crazy that I could just perfectly picture this island and like the area they were living and like the school they were staying at, and how rugged and torn down it had become after a while of being abandoned and not taken care of. It felt so real to me, and I could just see everything so clearly. So throughout this novel, you find out that there are some secrets being kept from most of the girls, or if not all of them, and only the adults know about it. But it's kind of heartbreaking to find out who is keeping these secrets and who's the good guy and who's the bad guy and why they're keeping these secrets. And it may not be what you think. So there are some twists and turns in this as well. It's not just a fantasy and it's not just whatever. It's also kind of got like a little thrilling aspect to it. So I feel like this is an all-encompassing genre book. And once you do find out the truth behind the talks, which luckily you do, it is so heart-wrenching. I believed it and I felt it, and I just like, oh man, it got to me, you know? Like I wanted to cry at certain points, but I didn't. But I felt like I wanted to, and I don't know, like I felt so much when reading this book. There is some queer representation in this book, and it is very sweet and very cute. It's very minor as well, but I just thought that was a really cute thing between the girls, and I just really enjoyed that. So if you wanted to know that about this, it's definitely in there. Hetty, who was our main character, she was so fantastic, and like I liked her character and the world building so much that when the ending hit, it kind of does leave off a little bit. But if you're used to endings that aren't necessarily perfectly wrapped up, not so much like a super cliffhanger, but they're not wrapped up, but they're also kind of just let off. If you get what I'm saying, that's kind of how this ends. I've heard a lot of people get angry about the ending because it just stops, and I don't agree with that completely. I think it does kind of come to a little tapered end, and I liked it a lot. I think it was very satisfying, and I think that if Rory Power wanted to make a second book, whether that be a prequel, which is what I really want to see, or a sequel, I would still read the heck out of that. But I think most people are probably wanting a sequel, but I kind of want a prequel to know what happens before the talks, like leading into it becoming a thing. Because when you get in this book, it's already started. So you don't really get to see it start happening. You just see it as it's already began. Either way, I would be happy, but I think that there's honestly not going to be another one, which kind of makes me sad because I loved it so much. But I already have my eye on Rory Power's second novel, so I'm really excited to check that out when it comes out, even though I have no idea what it is. So on Goodreads, I gave this 5 stars easily. It is my favorite book of the year so far and my favorite book cover. I just love it so much, and I just wanted to tell you guys about it because I'm just so excited about it. And I hope that there is more coming from this author that is very similar and or it makes me feel the same way. It doesn't have to be the exact same story or anything, but I just love this so much, and I cannot wait to read more from this author and see if there's more in this world ever going to be made too. I think that would be so fun. I easily gave this 5 stars. Best book I've read this year. I love it. Highly recommend. You should go buy it right now. Not sponsored, but I do have a link in the description if you want to go purchase it yourself on Amazon. I personally like brick and mortar stores better, but I understand if you're not able to do so. But I will leave that link down there. Once again, not sponsored at all. I get no money or affiliate from that link. It's just so you guys can find it if you're interested, and I really want you to read it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I put up new videos every week, or at least I try to do my best. I do mostly bookish content, but I also vlog and do other fun things every once in a while. I like reviewing individual books. I know it's not a very popular thing on BookTube, just from what I see. Not a lot of people will review just one book. They'll do like bunches of books, or they'll do just like a wrap up. And I do those too, just for people who want to see like all of it at once and kind of get like a condensed version. But I also like to do these in-depth reviews because I personally, if I'm looking into a book, either it's something I've already read and I want to know if I'm crazy and thinking what I think about it and reading other people's spoiler reviews on it, or I'm looking up a book without spoiler reviews just to see what it's about because maybe BookTube didn't have enough information, or maybe the synopsis is very weird or something. So I personally like to do these just to give people more of an in-depth review of what to expect. So I hope that that's good enough for you guys. I just really like it, and I wanted everyone to know how good this was. So I will see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Bye, guys.